Guys, I saw this real nice piece of cardboard back here, and I thought to myself, what would Jose do? So anyways, if you guys don't know who Jose is, go over to Nabori Auto and watch his channel. Jose is like the Mexican Steven Seagal on his channel. He busted some moves out at the end of his one video. Anyways, we're going to jump into this Eclipse. I got everything now. Everything showed up. And I got the cam seal, both belts. These are all the timing belt components. I got the main timing belt, the counterbalancer belt, all of my bearing, eccentric bearings for putting tension on the belt. That's just an idler pulley, and then I set this too, so it's ready to go in also. What I'm going to do is throw this cardboard down underneath here, and I'm going to get everything out of here and thoroughly clean all this. I got a couple cans of 2+2. Everything is crappy. So we're going to thoroughly clean this thing out after I get everything out and go from there. Alright guys, so I went ahead and I took the cam gear off, and I can tell you just from doing this that right here is where it was leaking from, because there is no sealant on that whatsoever, which I don't have any. I'm going to run down the hardware store and get some, but yeah, that should have been sealed. As you can see up, well, let me grab a light. That hole right there, I don't know if I can get into it from here. It goes inside the cam, and it's like an oil galley where oil passes through the cam, and the oil's coming straight out of it. So that should have been sealed up. I'm going to go ahead and clean everything right now while I have it apart the best I can. First, I'm going to run and go get some high temp RTV, and we'll come back and start cleaning again. Alright, so last thing before I go down to the hardware store, I don't have a seal puller, so what I did was I started this this screw with a hammer and then twisted it in with my impact just a little bit. You don't have to go in too far. And then I put some channel locks on it and tapped it with a hammer and pulled it right out. As you can see, I got the whole surface cleaned up and prepped and ready. Well, no, it's not prepped and ready because I can still see there's oil coming out of the center of that where the cam gear bolts on. So I'm definitely going to have to spray and clean this up a little bit better so we get a good seal when we put it back on. But here's the new cam gear seal. A little bit different than that one. Nothing major. But that's what's going on. And I'll be right back. Guys, would you check this out? Underneath all that dirt and grease was an engine.
360! And then another 180.
Huh? Who would have thought that? Anyway, I got everything sprayed down. I used pretty much a whole can, a 2+2, and just thoroughly sprayed everything down. As you can see, I'm about 90% sure that there is supposed to be a washer on the end of that cam gear. I don't have one, but I just put the bolt in. I used some sealant on the back side of the gear and the front side of the gear, and we got everything sealed up. It was clean. So now it's all back to the assembly portion. The first part of this is getting that counterbalancer belt in there. Actually, I can see some dirt and stuff on those gears. Let me spray this thing down a little bit more. I want to get it pretty clean before I go ahead and throw these belts on. So, yeah, let me get in here and clean this up. All right, guys, so it's assembly time. So, anyway, up there is a counterbalancer, and I'm not sure if you can see the marks on it, but we have it lined up. On the crank, there's that notch, and then, I don't know if you see it back here by the bolt, there's a little notch in the case. They're supposed to match up. This is a tricky one right here. This is the oil pump and a counterbalancer, and it can be 180 out. As of right now, I have it set right, because look, when you go away from it, it tries to go back to it. Well, look what happened. If you go 180 out, this counterbalancer, look how it is now. It wants to fall away from it. Well, they said when you time it up, make sure it tries to fall towards it. And you can see that. So, we got that. And then, of course, up here is your cam gear, and there's a notch there and a notch on the gear itself. First, we're going to do this and this counterbalancer up in here, because it takes a small belt that goes in behind, which is that little belt we have right there, and then we'll put our tensioner in, and I have to go inside because I have a piece of paper with the Torx specs on those eccentric bearings to tighten them up. So let me start throwing this belt in here. This belt's a little tricky because that plate's so big you can't get the belt in unless you move the crank a little bit to one side so that plate clears where that bolt mounts in there for the crank sensor. Oh, speaking of which, I need to clean the crank sensor. Look at this thing. Oh, I forgot about that. And then I broke the tab that holds the thing back, so I'm going to have to figure out something to hold that back in there so it doesn't get into the belt. But anyways, I got to get that one belt in first before I even put that on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, I got my cheat sheet now. These are from watching YouTube videos. I watched several of them. What is it? Ratchets and Wrenches. He does a really good explanation of this whole timing setup. Anyways, the dual overhead cam and the single overhead cam is basically the same setup. Only difference is when you get up to the cam. I already set the tension on this belt. You don't want it to be too tight. As you can see, I got a little bit of give to it. You don't want to have it too tight, and you don't want to have it too loose. It's not jumping right there. But I got the crank and the balancer lined up right now. They're perfect. So now I have to take that off and put the new eccentric bearing on there. And what else? This idler pulley. I'm going to replace it too. So I'm going to bolt this on first, then I'll put that on, and the last thing you put on is this tensioner here. So anyways, after I get those two on, we'll get the belt fished in, and then we'll work on getting that in and go from there. Alright guys, so let me show you where I'm at. This is the second time I have everything tightened up, because the first time I got in here and hold on a second. Let me look at this thing. Okay, that's how it goes on there. Just wanted to make sure. But the first time I had everything lined up, and I got up here and looked at the cam, and it was one notch off. So now I got it. You can see right here, that's your oil pump, and it's on the right revolution. Right there, you can see it. There's a notch and the notch line up. Up in here, you can see the arrows line up. And if you look through here, let me try to move this out of the way. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's a notch on the case and a notch on the gear, and they line up perfectly. So the tension, you adjust your tension right there at that pulley right here. You push out on that. There's a special tool for it. All you need to do is put a screwdriver in between the water pump and it and push it out, put tension on it. And you want to put enough tension on it that when you get down here, the pin inside of this, that pin should pull right out. So I'm at that part in this sequence, and I already checked it, but it pulls right out. Okay? So now there's tension on that. I'm going to crank the motor over 4 full revolutions so that everything lines up again. Wait 15 minutes, and then I'm going to try to put this pin back in, and that determines that you have the tension on this set right. So I was a little wrong. I don't even remember. I think it was about 6 cranks, the complete revolutions, until everything lined up. But, anyways, so I'm gonna give it a couple minutes here. Then I'm gonna check the pin and see if I can put it back in. And then after that, even though I don't have the motor mount on, I don't suggest doing this. I do have this cradle one. I'm gonna start the motor just to hear it run because, well, I have a couple things I got to put on yet. I have a spark plug out, I have an injector unplugged, and a coil pack. I'm not sure if it has to be grounded to the bracket. I have the bracket loose. But I'm going to double check. I just want to hear the thing run, and I'm not going to let it run very long since we don't have a... Way to go. Put some dirt on my nose. Since I don't have the water pump hooked up. So, anyways, I just want to see how good it sounds. It should... Where am I getting all this dirt? Where did that come from? Oh my god! Oh my god! So anyways, it's been about 15 minutes. So I'm going to try to put this pin back in now. And we'll see how it makes out. So, everything's lined up. I'm going to try to hold the camera and the light at the same time. There it is. Went right back in. So, take this back out. We are ready for ignition.
Remix to ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen.
I'm going to put it to you this way. I don't know if it's going to run or how it's going to run. The coils, I'm half certain that the bracket has to be grounded. I put a bolt in, it's not tight, but everything's hooked back up that would keep it from running. I believe everything is. I'm going to fire it, and I'm not going to run it long. Might not run it at all if the battery's dead.
Look.
But
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
Chalk that up as a win.
You can do something with that.
I can already tell you, the throttle and the engine sounded way more responsive. It was smoother. Everything about it, it just sounded great. Of course, you didn't have that belt squeaking because it's not on there. But I have everything to put this back together, and I ain't got nothing but time right now. Well, I kind of want to go to the gym, but I'm gonna slap. I feel confident enough now that I can throw the timing cover back on. I got it all cleaned up, so we'll throw the timing cover back on. We'll get the crank pulley back on, the harmonic balancer. Get the pulleys and belts on up top here, and maybe get the motor mount on, and we can do a little bit longer run then. I don't know if I'll get that done tonight, but it will be done on this video. So just because I said it's not going to be done tonight doesn't mean it's not going to happen in a couple minutes for you guys. So I'm going to start slapping this back together, and we'll see how it turns out. So I spared you guys so much time and a lot of cussing and tour gloves. Spared you guys, so you didn't have to see any of that. It's still not completely put back together. I got the top timing cover, and the splash shield that goes down in the wheel well. I still need to clean it. Plus, I want to go over this, like spray this down with engine degreaser and hose it down. So I don't really want to put that cover on yet. As far as I can see, everything, belts, water pump, everything is hooked up right. So let's start it again. Hope it doesn't blow up. Alright, no more squeaky belts. We have an exhaust rattle in the back. Not a leak, it's a rattle. I gotta look into it. Certain RPM. I think I saw something that's hitting. If that's the case, we're just gonna get down in there with a hammer and a pry bar and we're gonna make it so it doesn't hit. But yeah, the motor sounds good. Sounds real good. Very quiet now. Doesn't sound like a hunk of crap. The Eclipse is back in business, baby. The fans just kicked on. I let this thing heat cycle like 3 or 4 times. The fans are kicking on. Temperature's normal. My fluid levels are normal. Everything's looking good on this. I'm excited. I slapped the new timing belt sticker up under the hood, so people know that it has a new timing belt on it. Now it's just a rush to get everything back on this and get everything painted and undercoated. I'm undercoating this whole thing. So, and then I need to get it registered. It's in my name. I just don't have it registered. I'm going to get it registered, get insurance on it. Yes, I will drive it. Not a lot, but I will drive it, and it's going to be for sale once I get everything done and registered and insured and everything like that. It needs to be inspected, so I need to get it inspected, and it's just, you know, it's just a slow process. I'm trying to get everything together on this, but yeah, I'm thrilled to say that I am confident that this is going to be a reliable vehicle now. But I mean, I don't know. It sounds good. The motor sounds healthy. Takes the gas, like everything works, minus AC. But the new stereo, the janky lights I rigged in, everything works. That's my brake lights on. Brake light works. Yeah. So I need to see how much footage I have, and I don't know if I'm going to add to this or not. This cat is always soaking up the heat when the heater's on, aren't you? Huh? What? Jerry just called me, and the Accord bumpers are done. So tomorrow morning I'm gonna run and go get those bumpers so we can get the Accord done and get it listed, get it online. I have the interior to put back together. I have to put the whole trunk back together, and I want to do something. I said it in a previous episode. I want to do a little plasti dip on the front bumper, just a little bit, not a lot, just to kind of update the front end a little bit, make it look a little better. Also got to rotate the tires. I want to go put the winter treads on the front and the other treads on the back, and we'll just go all over it. And I need to clean it and make my for sale ad. So anyways, I'm going to end this episode right now. So if you guys like this one, go check out some of my other videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Let's do it. You want to close this one out? Huh? You want to close it out? Tell them. Peace out!